Bring those picks and bans up here for you in just a moment. And SK will be in that first pick spot after taking that loss in Game 1. Not too big a surprise there.
No, that means that they've got Merlin or King Arthur potentially going for themselves this time instead of having to face off against it and what Hurriwind is going to provide. I imagine SK is going to continue to try and keep Variety outside of his top few gods. Variety had a very good game on the Bologna, but Belair was also able to make a big impact. And I think the concern is that if Variety gets King Arthur or Achilles in particular, then Belair's impact is going to be diminished because of how good Variety's laning phase has been with those gods.
That's right. You don't want to put Belair into a position where he ends up getting a bit sort of bullied out. You know, I think we've seen that happening for Ducky on Trifecta, I believe. He's gone up against some really high-pressure solo laners a lot of the time as King Arthur, and he never even really gets a chance to be on even footing. So you don't want that same thing happening here when Belair just showed up well for you in game number 1. And to be fair, I mean, Variety had a heck of a game in that game number 1. Some of his plays around the FG in particular coming to mind really helped turn some of those team fights. But I don't know how you limit a guy like Variety. You know, it's like maybe you contain him. Maybe you hope he has a 17-point game instead of a 33-point game or something like that. I don't know.
Exactly. You're sending him to the free throw line and hoping that he misses a couple.
That's all you can do.
That's kind of the idea, though. SK end up going with the Naja first ban. They're in first pick position, so they've got throwaway potential. But I wonder if they're now. I feel like they have to, unless they're going to first pick Achilles, I think you're banning Achilles here. Because otherwise, Dignitas is going to probably ban King Arthur. If you don't ban Achilles here, then you're going to be incentivized to pick Xbalanque or something like that for Zap to get him in a good spot. And then if that happens, then you're giving up the Achilles. I feel like this is, Achilles is happening for SK one way or another. Either this ban right here or their first pick.
And you still have to worry about Serqet, I feel like, if you're SK2, right?
Yeah.
And that potentially going over to Trixtank. There's a lot to be concerned about when trying to stop this team. Now, Serqet is something where they could potentially grab that for themselves with their second and third pick, potentially. Maybe stop Dig from grabbing it before we go into the second ban phase. But, I mean, this is just a bit of what it's like to be in these comps with them, and you're worried about what is it that Dignitas really values, and hoping that you've gotten enough, like you said, of the coaching and talking about it as a team and knowing what it is that you feel comfortable playing against. And right now, it's not Achilles. SK, take that one away.
So it is the Xbalanque ban for Dignitas. This means King Arthur's open if Belair wants it. Can't imagine you want to give that up to Variety is the big thing. This is where you're like, hey, Ronnie, hope you're feeling some King Arthur today.
Yeah, because we're giving it to you.
Hey, guys, okay, that's fine. I'll play it because Ronnie's like the most agreeable person of all time.
Well, I mean, it was Variety who made the King Arthur highlight reel, right? When he, at least the first play you put on there when he got that 1v4. So you certainly don't want to put yourselves in a position where you have to go up against that again. Or maybe they do. They select Hercules first overall. So it's one thing to not pick King Arthur here.
Sure.
It's another thing to first pick a different warrior specifically for your Belair, right, in that same spot.
Could be.
This could still go to Neil, but I mean, this feels bold to me.
Yeah, I mean, Dignitas banned this away from SK in Game 1, so clearly this is something that Dignitas really respected in SK's game, and so SK first picking it is certainly risky. I immediately begin to think of gods like Sobek and Odin that have great anti-heal available to them that could end up messing with this Hercules, but King Arthur has just got to be the logical choice here, I'd imagine, for Dignitas. If it is in the solo lane, I wonder if this is a new counter match that people have discovered. You get you hit King Arthur awfully hard with that driving strike, and it stops him from doing all that spinning. I feel like you can interrupt him a decent amount. This might be a good matchup for Hercules in lane. I just haven't played it at all because I don't play solo number 1, but Hercules as well has not been one that's really been on my radar.
And I imagine King Arthur hasn't been making it through a lot either. So
no.
Again, you don't get to get nearly as much of that testing up against it. But Camazotz signals to me that perhaps King Arthur has not been picked yet. Either that, or that with the Hercules already on the table, very likely SK won't grab it. And maybe if you do want, you can wait a little bit longer as they grab this Camazotz, which does have some flex potential between solo and jungle. But what is not flexing is this Zeus. That one's got Hurriwind's name all over it. And yes, SK do grab another warrior that is not King Arthur. Very interesting.
Yeah, this is kind of classic when it comes to these gods, these kind of specters almost that, well, you can't let them have King Arthur. I mean, then we just lose for free. And then it's like, well, we really need to ban Xbalanque here. Let's just see if they pick it. Right. And then they don't, and then you go, well, we don't really want it that much either. We just kind of expected them to pick it. And then you don't pick it at all. And that's kind of, and then that starts the chain reaction of King Arthur not being as heavily prioritized in certain sets, and I think that this is the beginning of that process. We see it quite a bit.
And that's what you said. You know, maybe we should start prioritizing this Merlin ban instead and just letting King Arthur go. Like, he's had some adjustments. Maybe you can deal with him a little bit more. He doesn't have to be this overwhelming force for your team, especially when it's become clear to me today that Osiris has been doing well in the bye week, right? Like, clearly that happened because everyone's valuing him pretty highly amongst the teams that we're seeing today. And we're seeing some really high-end teams. I include SK in that, in these sets throughout this last week. So he's clearly been doing well.
Yeah, fine. Okay, plays it in 2 games. Deathwalker plays it in 3 games. This will be Belair on it 2 games in a row. It's certainly the new hotness, much like esports, I would say.
Yeah, just in case you didn't know, esports is the new hotness. Yeah.
Right, we've been knowing that, though. That's the thing. So, Thanatos ban, that's a good banning up against SK. Sanford Soccer does play it in the jungle quite a bit, and he played it this split, I believe.
Sure.
And it's very good against the Khepri because that will go through that. The execute goes through that revive, so I don't mind that ban at all. The Freya one is interesting. I don't know that SK would have doubled down on all the magical damage with Habwa and Freya.
Sure.
But they will need some magical damage, and I wonder if Alquang would be on the table for them as we anticipate that Hercules being in the support.
Yes, I mean, and that's what Dig must be thinking by still banning the Thanatos away at this point, right? That there's no chance either one of these guys are jungling, and that this is the support then for Neil and the Hercules, and Osiris will be going over to Belair and the Soul Lane for him to play yet again. And remember, they do have this Khepri through too, so that's part of it as well. Maybe just trying to prevent any other executes coming through and diminishing the value of the Scarab's Blessing, as they still have to decide where they want to go with the Hunter role. Surprisingly, Jingwei has survived throughout this pick ban phase, so she could still be one that could be valued here for them as well. And Shibalaki banned away. That could feel like a pretty confident pick for them. They'll take Serqet, though, instead. Yep,
this is good. This is good. Anytime Qvo gets to play Serqet, this is...
Wait, so on a binary scale,
yes,
no, you take yes for Qvo and Serqet?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
I think I would still be okay with QvoFred picking Serqet into Willix, Poseidon, and
the year
RDO.
is 20XX,
right?
And QvoFred and Serqet's still good,
right? Exactly. Like it truly does not matter to me what else. So it is a 4 physical composition here for SK, so it should be pretty easy for Variety in particular to stack that physical defense.
Wow.
And just try and keep it going. The Artemis is interesting. Ataraxia is still trying to keep it rolling. With the Khepri, I think it can be really good. You've got 2 backliners now on Dignitas that are must kills. You must kill Artemis, you must kill Zeus because of their late game prowess. And chances are it's going to be kind of hard to kill both consistently.
Yeah, what they've done is they've picked these backliners who maybe can't jump away, but certainly punish you for diving in. If you get stuck with the boar inside of a Zeus Lightning Storm or something like that, then there's no way you're making it back out.
No chance.
For sure. And if you die, well, then the Zeus and or Artemis has already kind of done their job, right? So it makes it very difficult, I think, to truly get back there and punish them.
I think so, too. And then if you do get on top of them and they're out of position, Khepri ult is right there for Dignitas. I like this composition a lot. It's a little bit CC light potentially, though Trix has played the Khepri pretty well in that. I think this could work out well.
I think so, too. Well, let's go ahead and get this one over to the casters. Tom and Taco, take it away.
Take it away we will. And Dignitas are going to try and do the same thing. You know, I'm staring at this draft, and I see 2 of the executes banned out. I love this composition with the Khepri making sure to ban away the Thanatos. Z-Man Senior up front. And there's Variety. Shout out to Trixtank in the back. But game number 2 here for Team Dignitas. And NeilMah with the support Herc stuns Trixtank into the wall, unfortunately. Taco, if that is 1 centimeter to the side,
he goes
left,
backwards.
He goes backwards, and that's a kill. Oof, that play. Luckily, SK didn't build off of the NeilMah dash. And let's celebrate real quick. Paul's on the Hebo.
Paul is on the original one, I gotta say. This is his calling card, his signature god for debut. Ran the minor league with it, without a doubt.
And it was interesting because Paul and Sam have been a little bit quiet this year. So if you're watching just season 6 and you didn't watch 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, first of all, you missed a lot of fun. Second of all, Paul and Sam made a name for themselves. Paul made a name for himself running the minor league on this Hebo, just pub stomping. Variety gets kicked. Blair's here. Big damage on Variety, but he's going to be able to heal it up if he lands the bats. Doesn't even have it, though. Still battling. Under the tower, Belair gets pulled. Oh, what are you doing, SK Gaming? Oh, no, Variety, the Batman. First blood to Team Dignitas.
And Trixtank.
Oh.
Probably not a worry in the world right now.
Nope.
Belair and NeilMah wanted to just completely ignore the wave, but that is a rocky start for Belair that he's going to have to now try and come back from. Giving the first blood as well to the Camazotz is so painful to witness, and probably felt even worse for Belair when he actually got pulled into that tower shot.
It's rough. Belair almost at 0% again, finds himself low. Ticking upwards, though, because of a health pot. Just an all-out battle here on the right side. All you hear is the basic attacks and the sounds of the game. They really stood out.
Well, SK shifted off of the assassins and decided to go with the triple warrior front line instead.
Much nicer, in my opinion.
Which I agree. I think that it's definitely a little bit of a stronger pool in comparison to game 1, but now that Belair is going to be starting off from behind, essentially, I think that that does put a little bit more pressure onto Sam and NeilMah especially, because Neil was meant to, I think, help control this solo lane.
Yes.
But now, without the ability of a Hercules and Osiris to kind of just spam into the Camazotz like originally intentioned, NeilMah might even end up dying here if he's not careful.
Oh, I thought he was going to push QvoFred into the tower, but QvoFred counting the seconds on the cooldowns. And so a lot rests on the shoulders of NeilMah. I got to agree there. That said, I think the Hercules looks really good into this composition. Can certainly do a lot. Hurriwind finds safety under the ultimate. He can kick him out of there. A lot of the options here for SK Gaming are nice.
But I can't help but feel like SK are almost trying to race against the clock in a sense, because when the team fights start breaking out, yes, it's awesome that Paul got his Havois,
right.
I'm sure, but Trixtank also has the Khepri, and that Scarab's Blessing. Havois is, I think, well-intentioned to be a single target kill character, but that's tough to do when Trixtank can just throw out his Scarab's Blessing and save his teammate every single time.
It's real true. So is the kill on to Variety. Worth noting, even before this kill, Belair found himself hitting level 3 before the opposing Camazotz, despite the fact that Variety got first blood.
Well, Belair was already catching himself back up, but just in case he needed any additional helping hand, Sanford Soccer more than happy to help scoop up that kill onto the Camazotz. Big kill bounty to receive there as well. And I think it definitely ensures that Variety shouldn't be able to just run away with that solo lane. He's going to have to be a little bit more level, or keeping in mind though, actually Sam looking for another kill onto Variety.
Just spam into the Camazotz over and over again. Variety will live one more time. Get away with that one. And QvoFred not even interested in the gank, will just protect the blue buff. That Khepri is a big deal, and you can see from the bans that Dignitas were aware that SK could kind of threaten it. Sam's got a good Thanatos, and that's why they banned it out, but especially the execution kind of counteracting that. And so by banning out that Thanatos, it shows that they've got a lot resting, I think, on this Khepri pick and the Scarab's Blessing. And
if Trixtank's able to do what he did in the last game, just interrupt. That's all that Dignitas are really looking for, is that small delay in SK's aggression.
Right.
That's going to allow for the rest of Dignitas to come in for the counter collapse. I think that Game 1 was very heavily controlled by Dignitas once the true team fighting stage broke out, because of how well they were able to respond to that initial aggression.
Well, Zapman on the Ram as well, I think, is sort of a nod to the Hunter position, saying, all right, you know, Paul's got his Hebo and he's going to do some work, but we're aware that Trixtank can't be a one-man show. And Zapman on the Ram, I think, whenever you give your Hunter Ram, that's be a Hunter, pure down, do the thing, guy.
Normally, but it's Ram into the Artemis. So this laning phase zaps in a counter matchup for those of you that are a little unfamiliar with the Hunter matchup here. Ataraxia has a pretty big advantage. Artemis versus Ram, it's because you can set the trap right at the bottom of the Astral Barrage, so he's essentially guaranteed to land into hard CC control of the, or into the CC control of the root, which could lead into, you know, further punishment if there are rotations coming forward from the rest of Dignitas. But the board to force it out, as well as CC immunity, lots of or decent movement speed off of Artemis' second ability as well. It's just tough to try and get away, which is crazy to say because Artemis is seen as so immobile, but in this matchup, it's just not the same. And I think that Zap does have a 2-level lead over Ataraxia. That's certainly helping him out a little bit, being left alone for so long to get all that solo farm.
Nice knock up there. NeilMah gets grabbed and Evo's there immediately. NeilMah probably going to die here. Oh, man. Do you see his player cam? He just took his hand and went, okay, guys. Like, all right. He just waved at the camera like, yeah.
Trix landed the root. What more could he do?
I got 3 charges on me. I'm rooted. Just detonate me, dude. Like, what's going to happen? I'm dead.
One of those days for Neil and Belair. I think that Trix and Qvo really have just been getting the better end of NeilMah and Sam, or excuse me, even Belair, and it's just been tough stuff for SK because they have all this aggression and they try to be aggressive with it, but not really coming forth.
There's the boar, and Zapman's gonna beads it right away. He played aggressive there, rolling into Nate.
Had the wave on his favor, and that's the primary reason why you want to try and take your advantages where you can find them, because those are not very many opportunities that Zap's going to be able to find where Ataraxia is strolling back into the lane after clearing out his buffs.
Big vision in the jungle. Zapman knows nobody's rotating. Like you said, he has the wave. Paul's going to try and protect NeilMah, who one more time gets pushed into some of the nonsense. Kick is good. There's the ultimate. Well, it's a detonate, but sometimes it feels like an ultimate. Sam for soccer could suffer the same fate as he's shoved under the tower. Paul shows up, and there it is. You know what? I'll double down. There's the ultimate. Hurriwind gets a double kill as he finds 2 long-range detonates. That's the Zeus juice, baby.
But throughout that entire process, Paul didn't get a chance to ult even once.
Yeah.
There was no opportunity for Paul to try and secure a crushing wave for any sort of a counter pick response. And Neil, I completely respect him looking to play aggressive there. You know that you're trying to find that Scare's Blessing force out, but some of these engagements have just been a little bit too close to Dignitas' tower lines.
If I'm rooting for SK, like you broke down the Zapman kind of at a disadvantage, Paul not really finding opportunities either. This is one of those games where I'm looking for the post lane phase. So the idea right now for SK is to be as little behind as possible. That sounds really basic. But the idea is that you're getting beat by Dignitas and you're okay with that.
Yeah, just go farm.
Yeah, like tread some water, go farm, and we'll see you in 7 minutes is really what SK need to be thinking. They're going to play aggressive, though, on the right side.
You know what I bet Neil would say? He'd hold that thought, though. Variety in a spot of trouble here. Going to get the bat out of hell off just in the nick of time. Keep himself alive. He's got help in the jungle if need be, but SK Gaming also had the vision to understand that a rotation was coming, and it's best to just back off.
So, what's Neil saying?
Oh, have you tried to not die, Neil?
Oh, man.
He'll understand it when he hears it back, trust me. But have you just tried to, like, stop dying?
That's good advice.
It's really good advice. He tells me that all the time.
Do you lane with Neil in ranked often?
Sometimes, whenever he's queuing at that hour, yeah, I'll normally see him around playing the Scotty, and then I'm dead, and he's like, hey, have you tried, like, not dying?
Neil,
I'm like, that's such a good idea, Neil, thank you.
If you haven't seen his stream or when he's in those big boy games, Neil plays the most outlandish stuff in support. Variety getting attacked by solo and jungle, but healing more than he's taking. The lifesteal out of Camazotz, very, very
no
strong.
Way.
Belair with the dive. That sickle don't tickle. Kill number 2 for the Osiris.
I think the only reason why Variety didn't keep pushing further into his tower line is because he was, A, trying to juke out the sickle toss, and B, was worried that the minions were actually going to try and target him. I think the archers would have maybe targeted him because he had been attacking Sam and Neil, or excuse me, Belair just then, but I like what Sam's doing so far, going to the only lane that there's realistically someone to punish.
We saw what happens if he looks for the mid laner. He doesn't die, but everybody else does.
Trix is going to be there.
Exactly. So you got to watch out for that. Keep just trying to, get down on the bat. And Variety has already died twice. He's down about a full level to Belair at this point. And P.S., Variety got first blood. SK Gaming focusing a lot on this side lane. They've already taken the blue buff last time around. They're looking for it again, but again, looking for Variety. Wait for the Scarab's Blessing. Dignitas retreat, but now it's over. And SK Gaming are going to walk right back where they were. This time, though, they have some help in the wings.
And now Paul wants a piece of the action because he knows that that Scarab's blessing is down.
Yep.
Gotta be careful, though, for Qvo. Could potentially be looking to wrap around from backside flank, but it's Neil who just gets blown up by Hurriwind's lightning storm.
NeilMah doesn't have any protections just yet. That's why he's only level 8, and he's got Tolaria. So there's no prots there just yet. Neil falls down again, the third time this game. He's 3/5 of what Dignitas have been able to find against SK.
Don't worry, Qvo. Nobody saw that. All right, we all did. We all saw that.
I didn't see what happened.
He ulted the minion. He blinked into ult the minion. He wanted Belair, but that creep was just like, I will die for you
Well,
instead.
you know what's up? Oh, Paul just misses the ult on a Qvo, but finds him with the water hands right after the fact anyway. A little bit of a peel as Hurriwind goes down to Belair. Now it's a 4 versus 2. Nice boulder. And Zapman takes care of Ataraxia. Paul's going to go down to Variety as he finds the shot off screen. 3-1 so far. Sammy's going to group up on Trixtank. Long range attacks will do it as well. Support sits down. Zapman steals the kill. And we're all tied up at 6.
I love that Zap got the last hit there. I think that's exactly what SK need to be doing, is feeding this late game Hunter to make him come online even sooner. Doesn't matter if it's a Khepri, but trouble for sure, as Dignitas are going to steal the Pyromancer this time around. Variety now looking for Sam.
Variety's in trouble, and he's likely going to die with the ultimate down, but really he just wanted to get the kill out of the Pyromancer. QvoFred's here as well. Zapman holding his ground. Sammy gets out of there, and that's another kill. The double un for Zapman himself. I always say the Pyromancer's not worth it, and it's very clearly not worth it. There, break down why Variety went for it.
Variety, I think, probably assumed he was going to be safe with the bat out of hell. He did steal the objective.
Yes.
I have no issues with Variety looking to challenge or contest the Pyromancer there. Probably felt like Qvo was a little bit closer to actually stir things up a little bit. They wanted Zap bad. Qvo even tried to drop that last breath on top of Zapman, but SK smothering their own Hunter just prevents Qvo from finding the target that he wants.
I love this decision coming out from Zapman as Variety looks to survive another game. Look at Harry's face. Harry right now is just, Variety at the bottom right of your screen is just, you heard him go, like, again? SK Gaming have made a concerted effort to just try to embarrass Variety. They're really trying to just choke out this solo lane.
Well, they wanted it in game 1 also, but it just didn't work as well. And now, with the knockup and the fact that Variety's also not on Bologna, he's on the Camazotz. This is an assassin pick, but Paul might be in a spot of trouble here. Gets a little bit of damage off with the water spout at the very end, but Hurriwind's already claimed his prize, and that Gold Fury is going to be forced into a reset there for Dignitas.
Yeah, SK don't get the objective. If Paul falls and they get the Gold Fury, that's kind of worth it, in all honesty. Paul dying right there is a really bad look. That man uses the ult to get out of the root. There's 2 shots on Hurry. The 4th shot will go on Hurry, and he's still alive. NeilMah waiting out the Khepri ultimate, and he will get a heal. But Hurriwind survives. That man will not. And the double kill for Ataraxia. Hunters abound with double kills.
Oh,
it's a combat Carl. Belair putting down Hurriwind one more time. 2 players from SK try to catch up. I don't think they're going to get there in time. Belair versus the world with Sam for soccer. Can they do it? The jump is good.
Trixtank's going to be the first to fall as Belair claims prize number 1 after the Gold Fury has fallen. Ataraxia uses the Aegis inside of the tower with Belair here. Take it up, no problem. Sam for soccer could be in a spot of trouble though, but the turtle shell going to buy him just a little bit too much time, and Qvo forced to watch them run away and into the purple buff, and Sam's healing.
Yeah, and I love this because QvoFred, if he jumps in, probably dies. And SK Gaming are really trying to bait him. Look at this. Look at this. I dare you. They're just saying, I dare you. SK Gaming, they're playing with kind of a flair here, Taco, and I like
has no beats. He cannot go in there. He has the
play.
blink. You want it. And we all know that Qvo wants to go in there, but the player discipline is more important in that regard. Dignitas already got the Gold Fury. They already lost Ataraxia, Hurriwind, and Trixtank in the process. One more kill would tip the scales, I think, a little bit too much into SK's favor. It's good enough that Dig were able to find that Gold Fury to begin with, and the picks onto Zapman and Neil.
SK Gaming just up about 500 gold, so a real tight game here as Dignitas has been able to kind of go back and forth. One of the biggest differences, though, as the game gets later, is that SK Gaming, the majority of their deaths, almost half of their deaths, are on the support, and that was before he had any defensive items whatsoever. As the Hercules gets a little bit more defensive, that'll be a tougher task for Dignitas, and that's how they found most of their success so far.
The classic tactical feed strategy being employed here by NeilMah, one and only, but
Zapman, definitely one of the originators of the mentality.
he pretty much coined the term.
He did coin him and that Laza squad coined that term for sure. An interesting.
Look at all those wards, man. Variety has had enough.
Ward. 4 wards on the right side. QvoFred wishing a ward would stop Paul as the Hebo starts to take form as well. Spear of Desolation finalized. This has definitely been an exhausting game for Harry. Variety just has not been allowed to play Smite.
This is cyberbullying, what happened to Variety this game. But Belair not looking to let it end anytime soon. You're not safe even underneath your own T2 tower. Paul bringing the damage that matters as that Bat Out of Hell is going to be forced. Crushing wave off the mark, but the T2 has already fallen.
And that's what SK were looking for. 1,500 gold in the pockets. Hurriwind is here looking for the surprise kill. NeilMah going, I've got 11 whole stacks on my Thebes. We're good to go. But looks like a team fight coming as Dignitas try to collapse on a Paul. Variety gets him. Now the counter initiation from SK is not there at all. They're looking to retreat, and I think that's a good call.
That deep teleport from Variety caught everybody from SK off guard. They were not expecting to run into a Camazotz off the retreat, and now NeilMah is going to spot out the Fire Giants actually being pulled by Dignitas. This is a power play for Dig.
I love this decision making from Dignitas. The window is small, but they can still shimmy their way through. NeilMah looking up top, throws it, looking for Hurriwind. The call is to kill the Zeus, but Ataraxia kills the Herc instead. Sam's got a taunt, he's going to fall down likely. Hurriwind again gets the kill. Half a dozen for the mid lane mage. And Dignitas tie the game, take the fire, take the life of 2 separate players on SK Gaming. And 18.5 in, we've got a brand new contest.
As it stands, I think Variety is the one getting the final laugh now. Off of one teleport play, getting that pick onto Paul means that Dignitas know there's no one to really secure. Your best bet is going to be Zapman invest in the Astral Barrage, but Zap's nowhere to be found. He wasn't even local to the Fire Giant by then.
That's the crazy part is that Variety is over here. Imagine playing in a game where an 8-year Smite veteran and arguable Rookie of the Year last year decide to kill you repeatedly, and you still have a monumental impact on the game. SK Gaming's entire strategy has been kill Variety. He's been frustrated the entire game. He's been down 2 to 3 levels the entire game. And he still makes what could be the game-changing play for his team. That's crazy. And I think that's shout-outs to Variety's wherewithal and understanding how important that teleport was and what could happen if they take down Paul. Because this is the result. Dignitas wrestling control and looking for a lead.
But Dignitas aren't out of the hot water just yet. SK Gaming still kind of toying with the fact that maybe aggressing into Dignitas on this left-hand side. Zapman's going to defend his T1 tower for now, but Variety's playing zoning duty, and the Primal Fury will end up falling in Dignitas' favor. Looking like a general reset as well. Sam for Soccer, by the way, is on the complete opposite side of the map, just farming out Dignitas' jungle from the solo side. And I actually really like this from SK. They're showing defensiveness. Right. Maybe given the thought process that, you know, Sam could just be hiding around a corner somewhere looking to try and flank. And you never really know where this Erlang is at. Qvo, I think, is caught on and is just waiting, I think, to try and intercept Sam whenever he does start rotating over. At least call it out.
With the Ob Shard done, Paul is starting to swing against some of the tankier members that knock up Oof, Variety losing half of the life and forced into the ultimate. Tier 1 tower on the left side goes down. Dignitas put 500 gold in their pockets, and SK Gaming unconcerned. The Tier 2 tower, though, I think will be a different story. I expect to see a fight. There's a small gold lead, and none of that is on itemization. A bad ultimate from Hurriwind, a rare misplay.
No, I think that was a perfect ultimate from Hurriwind because Paul and Belair have got to get out. Paul's way too low to stay pushing forward. And even though he didn't find a kill from it and it was a little bit inside of the wall, he got the damage chunk that he needed for those detonates.
That's what I was looking for. I didn't think Dignitas would be able to pressure it. And you're right. I thought that was going to be an all-out jump in. Hurriwind does the job. He's isolated. Zapman from afar. And Sam for soccer from up close. The punishment onto the recent graduate goes strong. 15 kills for SK Gaming.
How did SK just get there so fast? Didn't they all just back underneath their T2 tower and then suddenly we've got like 3 different people right on top of Hurriwind? I don't blame Dignitas for not realizing that their mid laner was going to be in danger.
Well, see, that's what we talk about when we talk about this upper echelon of play. That was a play that 99 times out of 100, talk about Hurriwind simply being there, 99 times out of 100, that's a totally safe way to play. You're fine. But SK Gaming, I mean, these are one of the best 10 teams in the world, right? They're able to find that tiny sliver and then put Hurriwind down. Only the 3rd time, by the way. Zeus has had a very good game.
Both relics as well. That's going to hurt Hurriwind the most is the fact that he now definitely has to rely on Trixtank Scare's blessing. And if you got to rely on somebody, I mean, Trixtank's not a half-bad guy to look at. But I think that, you know, there could definitely be worse situations for this mid laner.
I have spent many a Friday night relying on Trixtank. Trust me. That is absolutely someone that I would not mind kind of relying on. So his teammates feel a little bit safe there. And again, I just gotta celebrate Variety, man. 3-4-3. He's 2 levels down, but I mean, the entire SK strategy for the first 12 minutes was kill the bat.
He's done a great job at recovering.
Exactly.
I can definitely agree with that, but I'm still not completely sold. Nice blink for blink exchange as well from Neil, stopping Qvo, I think, from being able to play a little bit more aggressively so he won't have that blink for his carries. But getting back to it, I think that yes, we've seen Variety make a huge impact in the game from one play alone, but I still feel like SK are getting the better end of him when he tries to play zone duty. It doesn't feel like Variety is massively tanky. Even off of that Fire Giant push, Dignitas got a T1 tower, they got a T2 tower, but they've been taking Variety's health bar time and time again and just forcing that bat out of hell over and over.
And I want to tip my hat towards Zapman. I talk all the time about your build has to be amorphous. You can't go onto, itembuilds.com, copy 6 items, and just do what your favorite professional does. You've got to change for the situation. Zapman last game builds Odysseus bow and Shen side because it's a traditionally tanky below in a solo lane. You've got a traditionally tanky front line. Here, Variety a little bit more hybrid, and by nature of the character, it's lifesteal instead of outright protections and health. So he goes for the critical strike build, going rage, and then later we'll see likely a Deathbringer or something. And so knowing when to switch your itemization, you're going to take advantage of the squishies with crit. That's a big deal. That's why Variety's kind of getting poked out like this. SK Gaming and their carry doing the right work.
Zap's build also indirectly impacts Ataraxia because normally where you might see hunters look to try and get a poke exchange going off,
they're gonna lose.
Ataraxia is not going to try to trade autos with Zapman. What if he gets crit for like 700 damage?
Yep.
Then you're probably going to be on the run for your life. And if Trixtank has to use that Scare's Blessing even a moment too soon, SK Gaming can definitely collapse.
And with that in mind, when you're playing an immobile character like Ataraxia is, you're looking to fight because you can't run away. Jingwei is going to knock herself up in agility away, right? Ram's going to roll away. When you're immobile like Zeus, you just have to turn and fight. And so Zapman goes crit build against Variety because he's squishy, Hurriwind because he wants to kill it before he presses 3, and Ataraxia so he wins the Hunter trade. The crit build here from Zapman, this is the... People have been asking me in my chat, when do you build crit? This is it. This is a prime example of when to switch your build up.
You build for what you're up against.
Exactly.
That's the general rule of thumb. And right now, SK Gaming, they want this Gold Fury. A little bit more money in the pocket wouldn't hurt this team at all.
I think they want the fight more than they want the gold.
Well,
They want both. They're down 4,000.
they're taking, they're willing to bite, but it all depends. SK Gaming might have a little bit more in their favor right now just because of the fact that, well, no, I take that back. Hurriwind's actives are actually back up off cooldown. You forget how short the cooldown timers actually are. It feels so much longer when you're playing than when you're watching.
I mean, when you sit there and you're like, 2 minutes? That's forever. And then you're like, I mean, that's a popcorn, right? Like, that's whatever. SK getting the gold there for free is...
It's Variety's ult being down, I think. Dignitas just not really... If you're going to risk it for an objective, you go for the one that matters at this stage of the game, and I think that's the enhanced Fire Giant in comparison. Or even if that was an Oni Fury. I think if that was an Oni Fury, you see Dignitas giving a little bit more contest, but
I agree.
Just for SK to get a little bit more gold, I mean, it's just not worth losing anybody over.
It would have been worth it 5 to 7 minutes ago. But since we're so close to parity, and this has been such an important part of the meta at this point in time, is that at 30 minutes, gold matters for potions and wards, etc., etc. But you have your 6 items, and you are as strong as you will be. There is no, technically there's a 7th item, I guess, with Elixir of Speed. There is no 8th item, right? Like, you're not getting stronger than that. So SK Gaming being down 3,000, 4,000 gold here does not really matter. The impact isn't that large. And so that's why Dignitas are like, yeah, sure, take a Gold Fury, man. Like, go for it.
Oh, they're going for Hurriwind right now. NeilMah going to get stunned out. But the Lightning Storm is such a force there from Hurriwind. Variety now trying to chase down Paul, and Paul breaking away from the rest of his team. This could be a kill opportunity. Yeah,
QvoFred's going to confirm it. The ultimate's good enough. Paul goes down to the Serqet. Sammy's by himself. And what looked like a great opportunity for SK Gaming quickly unravels. They got the Lightning Storm, but Dignitas is storming off anyway. NeilMah 40%, a couple of crits will do it, and Ataraxia finds the kill onto the Hercules. 15 for SK, but Dignitas have 14, and they're going to look for the EFG.
I think the big difference there between these two teams is, sure, Hurriwind's Lightning Storm might have been a little bit questionable, but it still zones the entirety of SK Gaming away from that Zeus. No one's going to try to tank up a Lightning Storm from Hurriwind, while also simultaneously looking for a kill, knowing that Trixtank still has the Scarab's Blessing. So SK have to back off there. Paul was just pushed a little bit too far forward, assuming that he would have some leeway to try and get off a water spout or even the water cannon, and it just did not pan out that well for him. Variety catches him off guard, immediately forces the split apart from the rest of the team, and I mean, that storyline kind of just writes itself. It's easy stuff for Qvo to follow it up.
The split apart is the key there. SK Gaming, the strategy was get Hurriwind's ult and back off. Problem is, NeilMah goes so far to deal with that, to execute that goal, and Sam is looking for this really big flank on the right to execute that goal. Now, Paul is playing a mage that can strip for himself, but the problem is that he gets jumped on. NeilMah is 20 meters away, or 20 miles away, rather. You know, you're trying to find the Zeus. Sam's by himself as well. And because SK Gaming spread out so much, 2 things happen. They're not able to peel for the mid laner, and that means their mid laner's not able to deal the damage, and that's kind of what SK's designed here to do. Zapman can't do anything by himself if his front line is elsewhere, and so Dignitas are just free to collapse. That was man. I don't know if I blame NeilMah for being too far away or for the team not following up, but the issue there was SK Gaming not being as grouped up as they could have been.
But it's not all doom and gloom just yet for the squad. I mean, they had a really strong base defense last time. Dignitas had the advantage. They were only able to get a T2, T1 tower at best, so SK definitely still have lots of burst potential here, and Dignitas know it. They're definitely respecting this and just trying to push up these minion waves, see if they can get any poke out there with Hurriwind. Hurriwind's mostly just trying to get these Divine Ruin procs onto the front line, I think, and NeilMah is melting now.
Yeah, he's not really able to withstand a lot of this damage. The Shield of Regrowth is cute, but I don't know if it's allowing him to be tanky enough. We'll see that Manta likely be finished a little bit later. Here's NeilMah blinking forward, not getting anybody with the kick, but the Zeus ultimate forced out. Really, that's going to force SK out. Not really forced out, as it zones the entire team away from the bird. Left side goes down. Mid Phoenix at half already. And Dignitas with a successful left side siege.
Base has been breached, and those minions are not going to take their sweet time getting to that lane. Dignitas have a wave already approaching, although it's not a fire wave, but Paul trying to tango with two here. Variety and Qvo needs to be careful because Qvo still has that Mad Guy's Cloak proc.
QvoFred is ambushed, right? He's invisible. Nobody's, oh no, he's moving now. I thought he was invisibly ambushed there in the back line. Paul threatens, drops down the Atlas of the Yellow River. Dignitas into the mid lane. There's a little bit of shield throw from Hurriwind. QvoFred ults on the back line. Belair in trouble. Paul gonna walk away. And this should be another door open for Dig. They trade their jungler's ultimate for a mid lane Phoenix. NeilMah surrounded. He's gonna use a little bit of help, but ultimately goes down. Good knockup, and here comes SK Gaming looking for a re-engage.
But the shell is gonna stop Paul dead in his tracks. He wanted that crushing wave, just not gonna be able to find it. Dignitas, though, still on the retreat, but they're healing pretty rapidly from that enhanced fire giant, and what looked like it could have been a turnaround play. It's just gonna be another Phoenix Siege loss for SK, and Dignitas also free to take the Oni Fury, just adding fuel to the fire.
Real rough there for SK. Half hour in, Dignitas confirmed their 10,000 gold lead. And they're gonna call up their Oni Fury minions. Things coming out on the right side tower, whether that's Dignitas or SK is unknown, but it's the only structure left on SK's side of the base. So Dignitas now looking to just push here for the victory. And I think one more team fight should do it if Dignitas wind up winning. If SK take the next team fight, they will likely have to push twice.
But these team fights are only going to get more and more grim, I feel, for SK. Now that Hurriwind is completely online, 6 items slotted. Doesn't have the boots to sell just yet, though. Hasn't gone that late into the match. But the point still stands. He is dealing an incredible amount of burst damage. Top of the player damage charts as well, 27,000. He jumped up. He was at 15K last I checked. That one siege, he did 12,000 plus.
Wow.
And it's just so detrimental for SK to try and fight into the Zeus, because even when it looks like they're forcing Hurriwind's ult into a bad spot, it still works in Dignitas' favor because that whole area can't be touched.
Exactly, and that's always why I say that Zeus is so powerful on Siege, because he needs to do 0 damage with the ultimate to get a Phoenix. You just drop it in the middle, and you can't stand there. That means his team can, and that means the Phoenix is gone. It's so potent. Trixtank knocked up and crushed, but the crushing wave is going to miss QvoFred. Real bad play there from Paul. They need that tool. SK with an opportunity. Hurriwind is saved by the support. Ataraxia.
Hoping to juke it out, but Zapman's not going to find it. Easy trade outs, though, for Sam for Soccer. And now Zapman trying to make some magic happen into Ataraxia. It's Sam and Zap with a whole lot coming behind them, but all Dignitas are trying to do is buy themselves some time.
Zap's trying to back to base.
He can't back.
There's minions. There's minions. Aegis is good. Ataraxia finds the shot. All players dead. The minions are here, but Qvo's faster. Game number 2 goes to Dignitas.
And that last fight felt a whole lot like what kept happening from the midway point of this game and onwards. It was just SK getting spread thin there from Dignitas. Qvo doing a beautiful job pulling that crushing wave out of Paul. I think Paul really thought he was going to be able to confirm that one.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that he jumped. I think he was also concerned that there was more damage coming his way, so he might have been using it defensively also, but either way, the split was just too much for SK to handle, and so there was, response pick or two, or actually just one. They only got the one.
An improvement from game number 1 overall, I think, SK. They kind of lasted longer in this one, but Dignitas still ultimately have the upper hand. Different mentality. SK Gaming focused the right side of the map and do rather well, but Dignitas, man, Hurriwind is looking really strong. Hurriwind was the reason I think Dignitas take this one. The Zeus play was phenomenal.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I also think that Trixtank setting him up so many times early game to find those picks onto NeilMah definitely helped. As a whole, though, I think that this one was definitely a lot more on Hurriwind's shoulders than anybody else's. He made sure to find the appropriate responses when necessary, and just awesome job. I mean, they handled that triple warrior frontline incredibly well.
Great stuff from Dignitas. What a surprise. Let's break it down on the desk.
And it's not a surprise at all the way that they're doing it. A 35 and a 40-minute game from Dignitas, that's going to be pretty standard fare from these guys, and they play their games. And really, this was, even with QvoFred having a not particularly exciting game on the Serqet this time. We hyped that one up going into it, but I think this was largely Hurriwind and Trixtank working together really well to get this Zeus off the ground.
Absolutely, especially when SK is clearly very invested in getting this Hercules early in the draft. They first pick it, they make sure that they get it in a position where it can succeed, and then Hurry just kills Neil 3 times or so in the early game and makes it look really easy. Trix was right next to him the whole time. I mean, that is the ultimate setup. Khepri feels so good to play with Zeus because the root does it for you, the pluck does it for you, and when they get past that and end up diving on top of you, then the damage mitigation from the 2 and the res come into play. Those two have always worked very, very well together, and Hurry and Trix have been working very well together just on an individual level.
Yeah, I agree, man. Hurriwind can step up for this team when they need him, and I think they did need him this game. I mean, picking a Zeus is we say it all the time, like playing with your cards face up on the table. You're playing around this guy who everyone knows is going to do so much damage to your team, and is also so vulnerable, can easily be blown up. But that was the other thing we highlighted, that these carries had to were capable of taking care of themselves. It was going to be very difficult to get back there and punish them, and it proved true, not just for Hurriwind on the Zeus, but for Ataraxia as well on this Artemis. It was hard to get back there and punish her.
It really was, and look at where Trix is in every single one of these fights, right next to the carries. I mean, he is really just right in front of Hurriwind right here, even at 10% HP. Trix's mentality this season so far has been really, really impressive. He's just played super, super well. I think it would be a lot of fun to play mid or ADC right now for Dignitas with the way that Trix in particular has played.
Yeah, he's making sure he takes care of it. He's done it 2 different ways. You know, he'll do it by being that aggressor, that make sure that you get to just walk a whole W, like you said, and you're constantly moving forward. Or he'll do it this way, where he's the Khepri, kind of holding your hand the whole time, and you're all safe and secure, tucked away, doing Zeus damage because mid lane's so difficult, and you get to just hit those big detonates and blow them up from 80 miles away or whatever. Yeah,
right.
Super
well, they
tough.
shouldn't have been close enough to me to get hit in the first place.
Shouldn't have got hit by chain lightning, a bouncing ability.
That's
right,
they should not have.
But SK Gaming had some struggles here this game, and it's hard not, I think, to highlight an 0-8-4 performance, right?
Yes.
There was a point where I said NeilMah is the kind of guy that's happy to be 0-5-4 for your team if it means everyone else's lines are looking good. But this time I don't think they were. It wasn't quite the same setup that I think they're used to taking.
I also think Paul's Habwa, I mean, we look at the gods banned against each team as we get into picks and bans every time, and Habwa is very, very high against SK because the team's really scared of it. It didn't do a whole lot for me here in this one. Look, SK Gaming looks really good off the start. Sam and Belair were winning their 2v2 heavily.
Yes.
Some bad decision-making from Qvo and from Variety, very rare from them, I would say, but both of them are kind of waterfalling into these team fights and end up dying one at a time a lot in the early game. This was SK Gaming's game. I mean, I think if they were going to win a game, it was this one. We've seen them have really close sets against top teams. To start off the year against Pittsburgh Knights, they have 2 really close games where they lose, and then they get blown out game 3. I've got some concerns that it's going to be the same story here.
Well, what about this last fight, right, where they come off the Phoenixes, and they take the fight at the FG? And I kind of see what they were thinking with this one. They felt like they had to take one last fight. Yes. And really, Zapman even had a chance to at least bring Ataraxia down with those snipes. Couldn't find the third one, though he found the first and second one, which are not easy in their own right.
Sure.
So it's very tough to hit all 3. But, I mean, it felt like they had to take that fight off the FG. Do you agree with that call, and what went wrong for them?
Yeah, I think it is the right call. You can't, when you have 2 Phoenixes down, you can't take that fight in your Titan room anymore.
Right.
Your Titan's too vulnerable. It's just going to get killed by incidental Zeus damage at that point. So you take that fight there. You're already at such a massive disadvantage, though, because not only are you working against their lead, but you also have the race against time, because you can only team fight for a certain amount of time, and it just ended up being too much, I think, on SK's shoulders.
And you saw it. Even if that fight had gone their way, I don't even know if they could have completed their backs in time.
I don't think so.
Because minions were barreling down the door. The Titan was at half HP anyway. So just tough for SK to find any way back out.